Well, good morning, everybody. We're reading through 2 Samuel 16, 17, 18 this morning, and it's a really dark time for David. But I want to point out that David doesn't seem quite himself. His son has come against him. He didn't have a close relationship with Absalom. We can tell that because he left his son in exile. He didn't deal with things as he should have as a father. It caused his son to take actions into his own hands. He ends up killing his brother. He runs into exile. David makes no move at all to reconcile with him. When he does bring him back, he has nothing to do with him. And Absalom, the constant motivator knows, or manipulator knows how to work Joab and eventually get in there with his father. He then undermines his father with a way of manipulating the people. And so we have this ongoing thing that's going on. And we see David, he's in Jerusalem. Jerusalem's a fortress. It's on a hill. It's easy to defend. And instead, he runs away. And then in running away, he's looking after Jonathan's son. And he has no reason to doubt the faithfulness of Jonathan's son. But Jonathan's son's servant meets David and convinces David that this Jonathan's son didn't join him in running away because he wanted to take over the kingdom. He thought his grandfather's throne was going to be restored. And David, with no proof of this whatsoever, other than this servant telling him, believed the servant and gave all the stuff that belonged to Jonathan's son to the servant. Very odd. And then he's met by a fellow who's very angry with him from Saul's family, and who's cursing him and throwing dirt at him, and he doesn't lift a hand about him at all. And he has this laissez-faire, laid-back attitude of just que sera, sera. It must be God's will, and doesn't defend himself. And then when his son, who he didn't have a close relationship with, is killed in a battle, a legitimate battle. It wasn't he was murdered. It was a legitimate battle. He goes into mourning, and it's just very odd behavior from this very strong and dynamic leader that is surrounded by people who believe in him enough to die for him. And everything just seems to be out of whack, out of balance. And then you stop and you consider how much David consulted with the Lord before the whole thing with the murder of Uriah. He consulted on everything, every battle, every move he took, he consulted with the Lord. And here he's facing this crisis, and we have no evidence. Nothing is said at all of him consulting the Lord. Should I stand and defend? Should I run away from Jerusalem? Should I cross the river? Should I stand my ground here? Should I save the life of my son? All these things, he just doesn't consult with the Lord at all. And we see that there is a falling away, a degrading of relationship since the whole thing with Bathsheba and Uriah happened. David isn't walking in his calling, not at the level of maturity that he had attained. And this is the danger that happens when we back off from the levels that we've attained, is that the relationship itself suffers. You can't grow into a maturity. You can't become a 20-year-old and act like a 5-year-old and think you're going to have the same relationship that you had as a 20-year-old with your parents, pretending that you're, a 6-year-old. It's not going to work that way. And it's like that with dad. There is an expectation that when we arrive when we've gained that kind of level of maturity, that we are going to continue in that, in the relationship, in our actions, our words, our thoughts, all that. And so that's the reason why we have to keep pressing in, because the moment that we lean back, the moment we step back, is when we start losing ground, and we're going to find ourselves into trouble, because we're not going to operate in the place that we know that we're supposed to be operating in. That's a good word. It's a good word, and one we need to take to heart, and I pray you will. So let's examine ourselves and see where we are and whether we're operating where we're supposed to be. I love you guys. Miss you all. You guys have a great day. God bless.